Hey everybody, it's Matt here. Wanted to do a real quick video about what it was like trading with ThinkOrSwim TD Ameritrade in a small account. It was a small cash account, and just kind of give you my general thoughts on it. This shouldn't take long, at least I hope. So, first thing is, you can see how I had my screen set up here. This is what worked for me. I liked having the three different charts. So 1 minute, 5 minute daily chart, and then your level two and the I forget what they call this, the active trader, I think, and then this is time and sales when it's working. One annoying thing I wanted to point out, it's a really small thing, but it just makes me wonder why this happens, is that when I first opened the system, these buttons are stacked like this. Then basically all I would have to do is either readjust the size of this, because this is all one big box here, um, whatever they call these, a panel or whatever, I forget. But so that you would have to resize this in some way. I would usually just double click and then double click again, and now the buttons flatten out and allow for all of this to show. So every day when I opened it, I just had to do that. I couldn't find a way to make that not have to happen. You know, it's not a deal breaker, obviously, especially with some of the other issues you might have with Thinkorswim. But that was just one little thing I wanted to point out because I thought it was amusing. Um, so these are the buttons I used. So basically, I had a small cash account. I had like I think I started with $2,300 or something like that, somewhere around that area. When I first started, I was actually doing kind of momentum plays off 1 minute pullbacks or bull flags on the small time frame, and kind of taking more of a adjusting share size to have a certain amount of risk, and I was journaling those and seeing if they would work out, based on the risk, R, and then whether where I was taking profits and whether it was good to just go with like a 0.5 R profit take or a 1 R profit take, and what my percentages were working out to be. And honestly, I was losing money doing that. Um, Not necessarily because that system wouldn't work, but it just didn't work for me. I just wasn't able to follow it very well, I think. So anyway, in March, because momentum had kind of slowed up when the whole coronavirus thing happened, I started doing kind of some dip plays, and just kind of catching some bounces. That actually ended up working really well. When I started doing it, I literally was doing it with one share because I was like, I just want to see if I can do this, if this works for me. Um, and that's, I see a lot of talk out there about what systems work in trading, and people tend to find their own system and then think that nothing else ever works, or that could just be the way they market themselves. I don't have anything to market, so I'll tell you that I think that's mostly horse shit. I think you have to find what works for you psychologically. I think there are a lot of different styles or systems that could work. It's a matter of whether you're able to follow it or not. Um, this is totally a tangent, but my career outside of trading is as a health coach, or kind of a health and fitness coach, and I think diet is the same way. That there are a lot of ways to eat healthy. You just have to find the one that you can actually make work, and which means following it. Everybody's, I shouldn't say everybody, most people's bodies will respond to healthy eating. It usually looks the same for most people, or at least most of it's the same. But it's just the little nuances are the things that, like, okay, if you don't like a lot of meat and fat foods, then something like keto is probably not going to work for you. So be a vegetarian, and that's fine. That's also can be healthy, but might work for you, might not work for the next person. Not because it doesn't work on a physiological basis, but just because you're able or not able to make it work in your lifestyle, right? The same goes for trading, I think, is um, if you know there's a system of chasing momentum on 1 minute pullbacks, and then there's a swing trading, right? And you might be a really patient person, and so swing trading can work for you, and the fast in and out of 1 minute pullbacks isn't a good idea, right? versus a different person who's maybe more a little bit kind of intense and wants to be in the action. And so, all right, well, then they're going to make that 1 minute pullback, chasing momentum in and out really quickly, holding for a few seconds only. That's going to work for them. And swing trading would be like, because they don't have the patience for it. Not again, not that the system doesn't work, but they wouldn't be able to make it work for them. Um, and so rather than think like, oh, I found this system that works for me and everything else is shit, it's just this system works for me. Um, so anyway, since the beginning of March, so much for the shortness of this video. Since the beginning of March, I've been doing kind of basically just catching bounces. There's a couple different ways that I've been doing it, but um, that's kind of what I. So it is really quick in and out. Fills matter. You know, a couple cents can make a difference. Um, and honestly, I found to get started and test that kind of a system, I found ThinkOrSwim, TD Ameritrade, perfectly fine. In fact, some things made it really easy. Like the trading with these buttons, actually, I didn't have any problem with that. I was mostly only using join the bid and join the ask um, because I wanted to practice a system of, once I bumped up into a different account with a different broker, something where there were commissions and ECN fees, I wanted to be mostly adding liquidity instead of taking liquidity just to benefit from the ECN rebates if there are any. Um, and so I was joining the bid to get in and joining the ask to get out. So I was always using those mostly. I would only sell market when I was just in a having a tough time getting out of a position that I needed to get the hell out of. Uh, and then the cancel button that lights up when you've got an order that's pending, and then you want to cancel it. So I found this setup to be really useful for my style of trading. I know some traders don't like the 1 minute chart. They feel like it's just an overkill with too much action. But for where I'm at right now, I thought it was good. It was nice to have the 5 minute chart because, especially as time goes on in the morning, as the 1 minute chart starts to look, starts to get away from the big picture. You can look over the 5 minute chart and see the big picture pretty quickly for the day. When you're 45 minutes in, the 1 minute chart, especially if you're zoomed in at all, it's only showing you the last 30 minutes maybe, so you're not kind of seeing the whole day. So it's good to have a 5 minute chart up because you can see pre-market and the entire day since then. And then the daily chart I think is just important for, obviously the big resistance and support lines, big pivots. And overall, just, okay, where's this thing been for the past 4 months or 6 months or whatever you have it zoomed to, which is good because you can see like, oh, this thing's been a turd for the last 6 months. So is it probably going to break out very high today? Maybe not. So anyway, this setup seemed to work. And like I said, I think it was adequate for what I was doing. I'm going to show you in a second what exactly I was what my profit and loss looked like, and then what I felt were the drawbacks. Really quick, I just want to show you I'll show you the other monitor. So I'm working off a laptop. It's an old laptop, by the way, which ThinkOrSwim open by itself seemed to run perfectly fine on this laptop. The lag that I did experience was something that everyone that I could tell everywhere was experienced with ThinkOrSwim. So that was one of the drawbacks. Was at the open sometimes there would be some pretty decent lag. I wasn't trading big size, so it didn't always matter. But there was a couple moments where you hit the buy button and then they called them Schrodinger's fills because you couldn't tell whether your position was filled or not, or where it was filled. Although I had limit orders most of the time, so I kind of knew just about where I was getting filled, but you wouldn't find out until 30 seconds or a minute later that your order was filled, which, when your style is maybe only holding for 30 seconds, that makes a difference. So there was one or two times where what could have been a quick win turned into a loser, and then I had to kind of fight through that. But again, with the size I was trading, I was more using this to prove that this system would work for me. rather than really worrying about how much money I was making or not on a daily basis. So let's show you what the other screen looks like, because this is just my big external monitor. I shouldn't say big. I don't know how big it is. 23 inches or something like that, I guess. Um, so let's show you really quickly what the laptop monitor looks like. So yeah, I just have my actually I'll move this over here. So I have just some watch lists over here. I had a high of day watch list, and I've gone over these in a separate video, but high of day watch list, and then this is just kind of the one that I would build every day that I can manually add to, and then I still use these, by the way. Even in my new system, I keep ThinkOrSwim open and use their scanners. So, and then I've got unusual volume, and then I call this one Mofo. So those were just some scanners I had, and then this is I would either use a scanner here or just to monitor my trades to see where my P&L was. I would use this. So that's really quick. That's all you need to see for this. So, oops. Okay, so back to that. So yeah, overall, like I said, it was adequate, but at some point, what became the thing that made me leave ThinkOrSwim was if you don't have enough money to get around to be outside of the pattern day trading rule, right, the PDT, which is the big thing for people who are getting started if they don't have a lot of cash. That sucks. That's where I'm at. Could I probably scrape enough to get enough cash together to get a big enough account? Yeah, probably if I really needed to, but I'd rather do it the way I'm doing it, which is a whole separate video with CMEG and using Gas Trader right now. So you can see though my profit and loss from the beginning of March. So that's basically March 2nd is when I took my first kind of bounce trade, and I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. That worked out. Again, I started with one share, so you can see how low the profit and loss. I mean, I'm literally like, I made 70 cents. I made $4 in there somewhere, but let's do this. Filter that by scalp because that takes out the. Yeah, so this is my profit and loss curve with ThinkOrSwim. So. But you can see in the beginning, I was making literally 30 cents or maybe $1 a day on good days. But because I was only trading one share, right? So that's what happens. That's how that works. And then I slowly increased my share size. So then I went to 2 shares, and then I was trading 5 and 10. You can see I had some red days here. I had one here, and then another one here, but not many red days. That doesn't matter. That's a whole separate video. So the issue occurred up here, right? So up here, now I'm trading 40 shares on some positions. That was kind of my largest share size. I think maybe toward the end, I ended up taking 80 one day or something. I forget. But by the time I got to 40 shares with an account, this is a cash account, right? So every day you have to wait for your trades to settle. So that takes like 2 days. So if you use $1,000 of buying power one day, you don't have that the next day. So if you use $1,000 of buying power on Monday, you trade with whatever the remaining amount of your balance is. So let's say you had $2,500, you used $1,000 of buying power on Monday. Now you have $1,500 of buying power on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, you'll get that initial $1,000 of buying power back, right? That becomes an issue when you're trading 40 shares and you're making a couple trades a day. That adds up pretty quickly, especially if you're trading a higher priced stock. And higher priced, I just mean 10 to 15 to maybe $20 range. That starts to add up pretty quickly. So that became an issue. I started to run out of buying power. I started to be limiting what I was trading, the stocks that were available to me, because I needed a lower price stock. I needed something under the $5 range. Once that started to become an issue, I realized, all right, this is a limit, and I'm gonna need to just make the jump to a new account. The tough part is, there's a jump there because now in the new account I've got commissions and I've got monthly fees for platform fees and data fees and all that shit. And so now I need to jump to a share size where, based on what my P&L looks like and how the system's numbers work out, I need to jump to a share size that's going to at least cover all that if I want to even just break even. Um, so, for instance, if we go to the detail, now this is the entire time I was trading from March until basically late May. I was averaging 4 cents per share gain loss on every trade, on all my trades. So my average was 4 cents gain, which over time that's profitable. That's fine. That you can make that work. You can make it work really well if you're in TD and there's no fees, no commissions, anything like that. But what it works out to be is I need to go from, like, I was trading 40 to maybe 80 shares once or twice on uh, in ThinkOrSwim, to, in order to cover my costs and everything, I need to take like 300 share position sizes in CMEG to cover commissions, which are right now, when you're trading that kind of size, they're like, it's like $3 each way, $3 in and out, so it's like $6 per trade. In order to cover that with an average of 4 cents, you got to be trading about 300 shares. So that's a pretty big jump for some people psychologically, like to go from trading 40 shares to 300 shares. It's almost a 10 times increase, right? Um, if the money you're trading with means anything to you, that can cause your heart rate to rise a little bit if you're not used to that. Which seems silly because you watch all the big guys and they're trading, you know, they're taking 2,000 share portions of a size, and sometimes trading 15,000 shares, right? Depending who you're paying attention to. Uh, and so to say that 300 shares is a big change sounds ridiculous, but that might be where you're at when you start out, and and that's okay because you you don't want to get to a place where, okay, I was trading 40 shares and now I'm trading 1,000 shares and holy shit, my heart rate's going crazy and I'm super nervous and now I'm pulling out of trades just because I don't want to take a loss with that kind of share size, right? Now your share size is affecting how you're trading. That's exactly what you don't want to happen. That's why you want to have the patience to just slowly increase your share size if you can, because a couple months from now, you're still going to be trading well rather than, oh, I tried to increase my share size and I started trading differently. And now my system doesn't work because I'm not actually following it. And I blow up my account, or everything just goes to shit, or your confidence goes to shit, and now you can't trade at all. So, there's, anyway, that jump from a ThinkOrSwim account where there is no monthly fees and no commissions and any of that, to some other account where there are those things. That's something to consider. Now you could just dump more money into your cash account, right? I could have just taken another $2,500 and dumped it in and probably done okay for a little while. But you're going to run into the same problem eventually unless you just keep adding money to this account. And at that point, if you keep adding money to this account, why not just dump, if you can, the 25K you need to just day trade? Right. I mean, at some point you have to make the jump to a day trading account if that's what you're planning on doing, which I decided was just now. Just put the money I was using in this account into my CMEG account, and with the margin, I can basically day trade almost any stock that I would have wanted to, the way I want to, and there you go. So that was really the main drawbacks to ThinkOrSwim. Sometimes it lags. Uh, because it's a small account, it's a cash account, you have to wait for that money to settle. You could do a margin account, but then you're just playing the how many trades have I taken this week so far, or this rolling 5 day period, and you're just playing the PDT rule. If you're going to do that and you're going to trade any significant amount of trades, depending what your system is, even if you're making one trade a day, you're going to need you're going to need two accounts, which I had been doing that. I had an account with TD and I had an account with Interactive Brokers like back in the beginning of the year, late last year, and so I was playing the whole like, okay, I've got two day trades left in Interactive Brokers and I've got 5 day trades left in ThinkOrSwim, so I'll trade in ThinkOrSwim today, then I'll go Interactive Brokers tomorrow, and using two different systems, and that was more hassle than it was worth. That's why I just ended up bailing on Interactive Brokers. Not that there was anything wrong with them, but uh, yeah, it just made sense to stick with TD since there were no commissions and so no platform fees or anything like that. I was saving money that way while I was proving to myself that I could make the system work. Um, so yeah, those are the main drawbacks. The lagging every once in a while, like I showed you the little buttons thing, but I didn't find trading with these buttons to be problematic. Oh, there was one thing where every once in a while I would enter a new share size, like say I wanted to take 40 shares, and then I would like click out of that onto something else. That's not what I meant to do. Um, I would click out of that. Usually I'd click in the time and sales window just because it would take the cursor out of here. Because there were a couple times where I changed the share size, hit the join the bid button, and it joined with whatever was in here before. So like just before it was 5 shares, right? I would come in here, I would change it to 40, I would hit join the bid, and it would put an order in for 5 shares. But then if that order got filled, and I'd be like, oh, I only have 5 shares, but it would do what I wanted, and I would be like, all right, well, I'll just take the 5 share, whatever that gives me for this, and I would hit join the ask. Then my order would get rejected because now it's recognizing the 40 shares. Well, in a cash account, you can't short, so I'm trying to sell 40 shares when I only have 5 on hand, right? And so my order would get rejected. So then I'd be like, what the hell's going on? And then I'd realize I have to go back here, change it to 5. So basically, changing this was finicky. Even once I started making sure that I would change this, click somewhere else to take the cursor out of there, because I thought, well, okay, maybe that's part of the reason it's not getting recognized. Even if after I was doing that, it would still do that occasionally. That was an annoying little bug, but it only happened, I mean, every once in a while. I don't know. It wasn't frequent enough for me to be really upset about it. So yeah, there's some issues with ThinkOrSwim. I mean, there's issues with every platform. There's stuff that you would like to change. But overall, I thought it was good, again, for what I used it for. I used it to trade really small share size in a cash account to prove to myself that I could make a system based on bounces work. So I'm long biased. I couldn't short. It's a cash account. You can't short. So it was all long, and it worked for what I needed it to for the couple months that I used it. Right. Again, this is my stats worked out to show that, okay, I can do this in a larger account, and now I'm in a CMEG account, um, and we can actually take a look at that really quickly. If I'd have to take that out. If I take that filter out, you can see that this is now what that curve looks like. This is all my ThinkOrSwim right here, right? Because in the CMEG account, which starts here on 6.2, you can see what the profit and loss looks like now with a bigger share size, right? So anyway, hopefully that helps. I think that's all I really wanted to say about ThinkOrSwim. I thought it was nice to be able to set up, easy to set up, and once you learn what buttons do, and it was adequate for what I used it for. Again, if you're looking to prove a system to yourself, start there with a cash account. It's great. It's great. And then when you're ready, move on to something else. I like their scanners. Like I said, I still use them even with Dash Trader, because I don't want to. These scanners work perfectly fine. They help me find the stocks that I need to be trading. Um, if I purchased something like, I don't know, Trade Ideas or one of the other scanners that are out there, would that be better? Possibly. I don't know. I'm guessing I'll find out someday when I have enough money to throw around that I'm just like, yeah, let's just use Trade Ideas for a little while. So anyway, that's my experience with ThinkOrSwim and TD Ameritrade on a small account. And if you have any questions, let me know.